How's it going, people? Welcome to another exciting episode of Horror with Sir Sturdy. And tonight's another interreview. We have Jason Horton on here, the director of Craving. And I can't wait to get into this discussion, have some fun with him, and just to show you guys the whole, you know, Craving. This is gonna be a fun time, guys. It's gonna be a fun time. So kick it off with you, Jason. How's it going?
It's going pretty good, man. Just doing promotion on Craving, prepping my next movie, Hard Place, and
Nice.
doing a bunch of documentaries in the meantime.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And I do want to say this. I like what you did because I don't I connected on you with a post on a one of your posts. I think it was a horror TUBI group,
Mm,
and I love how responsive you were because I try to reach out to directors, producers, actors, actresses, especially when they're making a post about a movie that is either out or coming out. And I'm not you don't always get a response. And I'm like, if you're trying to promote something, you should kind of try to. I'm not saying you have to connect with everybody, but it's like you should promote it.
yeah, no, I fully agree. I tell filmmakers all the time. I do a filmmaking YouTube channel, and I give filmmaking advice. And so one of the things I always say, it's like especially on social media, like interaction with your promotion is more important than the promotion itself.
Yeah.
you know so it's like you really have to get out there and not just like thumbs up or ignore them. Now that said, we also have to set certain boundaries.
Hmm.
Sometimes people do ask a little too much, you know
Yeah.
and it's a balance of that. But yeah, and a lot of filmmakers kind of really hate that side of it, the promotion and interaction, and they feel a little disingenuous. But once I actually started doing it on the regular, like little by little, I grew to like it. Like I like that part of promotion.
That's awesome. And I mean, it's word at the end of the day, it's the old fashioned word to mouth, which never died and should never die because it's like like how you're saying some people don't like doing the promotion or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
If they even if they feel like they're selling themselves, it's more to me. I'm looking at it like, okay, but when we see something new come out on TV, like a new restaurant that's opening in your neighborhood or a new sandwich that's at Wendy's. Oh shoot, we gotta go get that because it's been promoted, it's in your eyesight, they show the commercial 1,000 times.
Yeah.
And it's like, but when your stuff comes out and people are like, oh man, I wish my movie was up here, but it's like, well, what are you doing to get it there? Besides
Yeah.
making it and maybe telling your friend, it's like, promote it. And then when you can go on podcast, there's more promotion.
Yep.
Again the word to mouth, which is kind of a word to mouth in a sense. It's just virtual and out to more people.
Yeah, no, totally. I think, and I know when I started, I had this, like as a filmmaker, you want to make films, you want to be
Hmm.
an artist, you don't want to be the salesman, you don't want to be the face. But, and it's kind of an old school thinking, or a large studio level thinking, when
Yeah.
you do have money for a promotion team and stuff like that, it changes that whole dynamic. But on an independent level, and we're seeing more people make independent films now than we ever have in
Hmm.
history. There's so many people making movies, and 90% of us don't have money to pay to have someone promote. So who else is going to do it? You have to learn it, and you have to execute it, or your movie's most likely not going to make any money,
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
and then it's hard to make another movie.
Yep.
Now, are you into the whole, which I do enjoy watching these films, but are you into like the fan film craze as far as making your own fan films or not so much?
So this is my thing on it. I have nothing against anyone who does it. Like if that's your thing, that's what you want to do. That's great.
Hmm.
For me, and this might sound a little I don't know, overly pragmatic, but making a film is such an endeavor. Like it's so hard to do. And it's so hard to finish it and have it turn out good. Like I can't imagine putting that much effort into something that I didn't really have a chance to monetize.
Hmm.
And I know that sounds a little just like money focused, but at the end of the day, to make more movies, they have to make money. And I know there are ways to profit off fan films, but I personally don't see it. And as an artist, I do want to do something, of my own.
Unique.
You know,
Hmm.
yeah.
See, and I get that. I'm not mad. I mean, again, like I said, I'm a fan of fan films. I know
Mhm.
Chris is as well, but I'm also a fan. I'm just a fan of the indie scene in
Yeah,
general.
yeah. Like I
And
said, I don't
the
have
whole,
nothing against it, and I've
oh yeah,
I've I've watched some that I enjoy. I'm just saying, like as a filmmaker, it's not something
yeah,
I
it's
would
not
want
your,
to pursue.
not your, not your. Which is no, that's cool though. That's cool though.
Yeah,
Everybody has like their own things, and I was just wondering if you were a filmmaker that maybe even started in that just to, because I know there's some that'll do it just to kind of get the eyes on them. Like, look, I
yeah.
made this
No,
Friday
no,
the
no.
13th fan film or whatever the case may be, but then I have all this original content. But
Totally. Yeah,
for
I have
you to
some
have all
friends. Yeah, I have some friends that are doing that right now, actually.
nice,
And no, for me, I started a little over 20 years ago now, and you know, I, it was right when the Panasonic DVX 100. It was the first prosumer like video camera to be able to shoot at 24 frames a second, and it was affordable. Like it was like less than $2,000, I think, at the time. And so anyway, I just graduated college. One of my best friends had picked one of those up, and we were like, and I was in film school, and I was like, let's just shoot a movie. It was right around 28 Days Later time and all that. We are like,
hmm
yeah, let's just do it. And we went out and made a horror movie for I think it was about $4,000 was our budget, and that was my first movie, Rise of the Undead.
nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, and we did not know what we were doing. We just went out and did it. Like, looking back on it, and I'll be straight blunt about it. It's not a great movie by any stretch of the imagination. And many years later, I'm looking back on it, and I'm like, why doesn't this work? Why doesn't it work? And honestly, the biggest thing was the script. Like, I didn't really take writing very seriously. I didn't consider myself to be a writer. Just me and my buddy that were making the movie. We just like, wrote out this, like, I guess you could call it a script in like, Microsoft Word or something like that. And I think it was like 40 pages long. We ended up the movie ended up being like 75 minutes, I think. But anyway, it was a short script, and that was it. But then after that, like, I took the screenwriting real seriously. So I started, I read all the books on it. I started reading screenplays, and like for the next 4 or 5 years, like I wrote.
That's
Yeah.
nice. That's interesting. How many movies have you done so far?
Master.
A lot. So I've
A lot.
directed like 24, I
Okay.
think, something like that, 23, 24. I've produced close to 70 at this point.
Wow.
Amazing.
And then
That's
and
awesome.
a lot of those are in the last 4 years are documentaries. But prior to that, it was all narratives.
Are you into acting at all? Do you act at all or
A little bit. Not. I don't really take it seriously anymore. In college, that was something I always just wanted to be a director and writer, but I was taking acting classes to be a better director, and I kind of got into it. And I consider myself to be, fairly comfortable in front of the camera.
Mhm.
But I don't have any aspiration to take it. Like, I don't put myself in my movies unless like there's we can't afford an actor to play
Yep.
this part. Like, I might do something,
It's
but
like, uh-oh.
yeah, or we're in a scene we didn't get enough background people. Like, I might be in the background, like
Okay.
stuff like that. I've been zombies, I've been monsters, but yeah, I'm not super into it though.
Okay. I like that answer though. I like that answer because I'm just thinking of someone for myself if I was on that. I'd definitely want to be in front of the camera. But also,
Yeah.
I mean, but also the behind the camera stuff, just to learn that stuff and be able to do that is also has to be
Oh
awesome.
yeah. Well, and the thing about I mentioned I started doing a YouTube channel for filmmakers. So I was doing a lot of these, 3 to like 10-minute instructional videos, and basically
Hmm
me and the camera, and doing that for about 4 years. Like, I actually really I got to the point where I'd like to say it was just about, oh, I'm just trying to help people, but at a certain point it was like the attention and the way my subscriber base was growing so fast, and like that stuff was really cool. But at the end of the day, though, it taught me to be really a lot more comfortable on camera. I think the last 2 crowdfunding campaigns that I ran that did real well, like I put a lot of that on, doing that channel, and getting better at, talking to people live, and better at doing interviews, and better at, doing, scripted stuff into the camera, stuff like that.
See, now you you mentioned that you did the helping filmmakers on YouTube and all. Do you still currently do it?
So I am not making new videos any longer. So I did it for 4 years. I have about
Oh.
300 videos. And I pretty much, to be honest, I feel like I've said pretty much all I have to say on the subject, at least for now. And I was starting to put up documentary stuff on that same channel. And it was just outperforming my filmmaking stuff by like a 7-1.
Oh,
So
wow.
I've kind of transitioned the channel back into documentary content and filming more like the films as opposed to the filmmaking. I mean, the filmmaking videos are still there,
Yeah, yeah.
and like they still get a lot of views, but they're not. I don't make new ones. And one thing I really did like doing, I did interviews as well, and I found that like it was cool, but it was a great networking tool. Like, I mean, I met distributors and, aggregators, and, that's how I first hooked up with Film Hub and started putting out movies through them, so like that was a really cool aspect of it.
No,
Nice.
that is awesome, and that is very true with interviews and all this other. The networking portion of it is fun. It's fun. It's cool, and like, so what we'll do on here is he had, this is my show, and then he has his own show. So for interviews, he's been doing that as well and having other conversations, which I just think is an awesome thing. And the other podcasts that we're connected with and cool with, well, hey, we had this great guest on here. You guys should check him out. If you want him on your show, here's how you can get a hold of him and all that, or her. And yeah, it's one of those things like that I do love about technology is we get to sit down and do this.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but then you have those technical difficulties. That's the thing that sucks about it. Like,
Yeah.
at any moment, technology could just be like, you know what? I don't want you guys talking to each other tonight, so we're just gonna screw it up for the night. All right, technology. Now I'm going to bed.
Yeah, totally. When I was doing, I was doing a monthly live stream when I was doing the YouTube channel, or like twice a month, something like that. And when I first moved to Georgia, I was doing my first one, and my desktop computer went out. I ended up having to do it on my laptop, and the internet kept coming in and out. It was like the second or third one I'd ever done, so I was super nervous about it. And I was when I was first started. Like, I didn't necessarily look it, but I was super nervous. Like I was very, like, I mean, I get butterflies, and I could hear my voice quivering, I would it freaked me out. But yeah, that one almost, I don't think I tried it again for a couple of months after that one. It kind of gun shied me for a while.
Yep.
Yeah.
See, and me, once I started, I just dove right in. Especially when I started doing the lives, like I just got to do it.
Yeah.
Comments real quick. James, what's
Hey,
up?
what's
Eric, how's it going, man?
Eric?
Jason,
what up?
Mr. Taylor, and then Eric. He was saying he missed out on backing.
Oh, the Indiegogo. Oh man, I appreciate that.
And then I just threw these out there for the people. Your YouTube channel, and you guys can go watch Craving on TUBI after this episode, though.
It was
Phil. What's good, Phil?
Hey there, horror fans.
What were you saying though, Chris?
I had a good time with this one.
I didn't mean to cut you off.
Now you're good. You've got a fan in me, dude.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, because every single movie you do when it comes out, you're just like, or at least I won't say every filmmaker's like this, but I'm like this. I'm very self-critical, and I'm very like, I have a bit of imposter syndrome. Like I've done it forever, it is my career. I make money on it. It's how I make my living. But every single one, I feel like, oh man, they just know that I'm a fraud. Like this is no good. This is bullshit. Like, no matter how I feel about it prior to releasing it, almost every single movie when it releases, I'm like, but it doesn't necessarily, reflect the movie. It's just, it's just my, personal thing. So on and when you do a low budget movie like this, there's going to be a large section of the audience that just doesn't dig these. Like they're out there looking for Scream 6, and they might stumble across your poster and like, oh, this is garbage, or you'll get the, and just not everyone's gonna like everything for sure, you know. So you know, when the response for this movie, out of probably anything I've ever done, has been pretty, like, across the board pretty good. I mean, of course there are a few people that really don't like it. We just got a really bad review. I forget the site, High on Films or something. So like not everybody loves it, but most, like all the critic reviews, most of them were good. You know, like if you go down the Amazon, you know, user reviews, and granted, probably about 10 of those are from cast and crew, but you know, the other 70 or so, I think it's still rated like a 4 on there. And then on IMDb, I expected it to be like around 2 or 3, because you know when most low budgets come out, after it hits IMDb and starts getting pirated, the pirate sites start coming on there and review bombing them. So like I expected really low, and I think we're still over 5 or 6 or something like that. Which, you know, doesn't sound great compared to The Godfather, but you know, a 6 for a $100,000 movie, that's not bad.
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
Champion.
Yeah.
Love it. I love it.
Now, how did you come up with the story for that one?
Craving. Okay, yeah, it's an old script. You know, like I said, I was talking earlier how early on I was writing all those scripts like back to back to back to back. This was one of them. Probably around 2009 or 10, something like that. And it was initially, I was super into Tarantino and From Dusk Till Dawn, you know, or the Robert Rodriguez one. And I really liked, you know, how it was, you know, a crime movie, and then it flipped into a horror movie, and they did the couple of sequels. I was just really into that whole thing. Like I really like when you take like people that are living outside of society, and you know they're badasses, and then you put them into a situation with something that's even more badass, but yet they can't rely on the safeguards of the society that they're, you know, trying to stay outside of. So like, you know, like cops can't help them, nothing like that. They have to deal with these situations on their own. So like I knew I wanted to do like something like that, you know, so like the crime, you know, monster, you know, mix up deal.
Yeah.
So that was the original inspiration. And then a couple of years later, I was living in Louisiana. I was working offshore right before I went to college, and I was in this little town down the bayou in Lafourche Parish, Louisiana. And there was this local bar there that's a lot like the bar in the movie, you know. And people would come, and it was kind of an outlaw town. Like people that were living there, around there, a lot of them were, you know, not from there. They were coming from other places. They'd ran away. They're running from the law, whatever. They were working for cash under the table to, you know, work offshore and stuff like that. So you would see some crazy stuff in there. And that's kind of where I started fleshing it out.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it was. Oh, go ahead.
No. I'm just computing.
It was an interesting take, like how you had the addiction thing, mixed in with it, and then keep hearing about a monster, and you don't see the monster until later.
Yeah,
in the movie. And I was like, oh, okay, I see what they're doing now. I get it.
Yeah, like the addiction thing came from, so I have a lot of addiction history in my family. Not necessarily with myself, but you know, I have many close relatives and good friends. That I had a friend died of heroin a little after college, and so it's always been something that sticks with me. And one thing that, you know, like addictions, like it's what one of my the friend that passed away, he said, addiction's a monster. He used to say that. And it just, like, that phrase always stuck with me, you know. And, you know, like this movie, initially, I think I started with them being just like bank robbers or something, you know. I don't even think it was addiction, if I remember right. And at some point I had kind of put those two things together. And then the mother-son relationship became even more important to me after my mom passed, like a few years before the movie.
Yeah. Wow. So you really dug and like tied personal things into this, and then just kind of
you know, In my writing journey, like that was something that clicked. It was about 4 or 5 movies in. I made a movie called Monsters in the Woods, and it was it was the first time where I really like started like really drawing on personal stuff. You know, like stuff that had either happened to me, or like trying to express how, like, not just tell this cool story, but express how I was feeling. And at the time I was this kind of angry punk rock person, so it's kind of this angry punk rock movie. And I was real mad at the film industry at the time. Like, I was trying to I had done my first 2 movies. They were both horror movies, got them distributed right away. I was like, oh great. So then I did this little kind of thriller movie, like a kidnapping thing. And I thought it was better, a lot better than the other 2 movies, but I could not get a distributor to put it out. And one of the distributors even suggested, he's like, well, maybe if you cut a monster into it, like we could sell this. And I was so desperate at the time. I actually thought about it for a minute. And I started how would I cut this in? And that actually became the story for Monsters in the Woods. I didn't do it, of course, but then I decided I was going to tell a movie about a filmmaker that had made his masterpiece, but couldn't sell it. And then the studio made him go back and shoot monster scenes to put into his movie. So while the crew is shooting these monster scenes, they're attacked by real monsters. And that was Monsters in the Woods.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then let's see, Ted. That's from earlier. He said his wife didn't see Dusk till 3 days ago. She loved it for that reason, how it starts off.
Yeah.
It flips crazy as a vamp film.
And I liked that. I like the sequels definitely aren't as good, but I like them both for different reasons. I think was 3 the one with in the Old West. I gotta try to remember.
I haven't seen it, so I couldn't even tell you.
Anyway, one of them was better than the other, but I like them both. But one thing that really struck me in the sequels is they're both really mean-spirited, And at the time, that was my cup of tea. I was angry, and now as a filmmaker, I don't necessarily like mean spirit. I like blood and I like gore and I want to see some real suspense, but I don't necessarily like mean-spirited things.
Yeah.
Like even Craving, there's people doing horrendous things, but even the addicts, they're all coming from places of love and attachment for each other, and the family thing, and there's a lot of pathos in it, and it's not just I'm an asshole and I'm gonna hurt this person kind of stuff.
And then Ted also said he's gonna write down the name of your film and watch it with his wife when they get a chance.
Cool. Awesome.
Which I did. I did drop the link in this chat or on this live chat, whatever you want to call this thing, and I pinned it to the top. So it's on Tubi as well. So easy for you guys to go check that out. And it's definitely worth it. I don't even want to spoil it. I'm not gonna spoil it for you guys, just so you can go check it out and let us know how you feel. But
I enjoyed the twists. I enjoyed the element of the monster and the addiction thing. I enjoyed the whole creature coming out. And yeah, you guys definitely check this one out. I enjoyed so much about this thing.
Thank you. Yeah, I have to give a shout out to Robert Bravo that designed the monster. This movie could not have happened without this dude. It takes a village and everybody is essential. You can't make it without any one of them. But if I really had to single out a person, that guy, he's doing work on this movie that's should have been on a movie 2 or 3 times its budget. And he's so he's one of them dudes. He's so dedicated. If you don't force him to eat or take a break, he won't. He will just for weeks. He'll just be he would literally run himself into the ground. If you'd let him. Yeah, but just a great guy.
See, that's awesome. That's good though. That's good.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and he's really talented. The cool thing about him, I've been working with him for I don't know, like I said, over a decade now, and he started out, he wanted to be an effects guy, but he didn't really, he didn't know it yet. He was still learning all the stuff. So he came on and he started out as a producer, and then, kind of transitioned back into special effects. And, at a certain point, he was like, when he was just like, and he was pretty good. He was learning all this stuff, like kind of on his own. And he was like, you know what, I'm going to stop everything I'm doing, the work that I'm getting, and I'm just going to go learn for like, I don't know, it was like a year or two, and then jump back into it, and it's now like, it's a whole different level of effects now.
I like that.
How's it going, Mick? Yeah, I like that too. Because it was something he really, really wanted to do, and was like, okay, you know what? Let me pause on this really quick. Let me just learn. Let me just learn it.
Yeah.
And then come back to it.
Yeah, and he really did, like, he designed the creature. Like, I honestly didn't give him a ton of direction with the monster, and I'll say this for other indie filmmakers too. When you're making a movie super low budget and you're getting, whether it's a DP or a special effects guy that's working on a higher level and is like, basically, doing you this huge solid, you have to give that person some room. I couldn't go in there and dictate, like, and he probably would have let me, but I couldn't have been like, it's going to be exactly this, like, and that's kind of low budget filmmaking in general. Like, if you're making something for less, you have a grander vision than what you have money for. At the end of the day, your thing is going to come out how it's going to come out. There's certain things that you're just not going to be able to, get into this, like, your vision bubble. So like you have to, independent filmmaking is rolling with the punches, location falls out. Okay, well, this can't take place in a warehouse anymore. Now this has to take place in a backyard, and you have to figure out how to make that work, or, even on Craving. So we ended up spending quite a bit of money on our bar location. That was our main thing, the interior. And then, we were supposed to be, secure a bar location somewhere for the exteriors. And to quite honestly, we just ran out of money. Like, we couldn't afford the location anymore. And all the exteriors in the movie are in this, like, smallish backyard in Chatsworth, California, and it worked out fine. But, like, I would have liked to have had these, like, wider shots and establishing shots to, show more of the outside of the bar and the people in relation where they are. But I couldn't have that. So I had to, just throw out this, like, mental shot list I had in my head. I had all these, big sweeping, like, jib shots or drone shots. And, I'm like, well, okay, we can't really do that in this backyard without showing that it's a house. So it becomes this, tighter, sort of thing. And it worked okay for the movie, but, it's one of those things I would have liked to have done it the other way, but it was either do it like this and make that compromise, or don't make the movie. So like, it's rolling with the punches, compromises.
Does that happen often?
Yeah.
As far as, like, just, I mean, not even always financial, just something happens to where it's like, okay, we have to change this. I don't necessarily mean a location, but we have to change this about the film because this happened and it's not going to work right because this didn't fall into place for whatever reason.
Oh yeah. I've had it happen probably half a dozen times out of the 25 movies, something major. Like so we were shooting Monsters in the Woods, and we did the whole first scene sequence, which also involved nudity. And in a low budget movie, like, we're paying the actors, but, like, the people that get paid the most are the people that are doing nudity. So that stuff was more expensive. So we shot that day, did the whole thing, and then we had trouble with one of the actors, not one of the nude actors, but another actor, and had to fire him. And and on a low budget movie, like, people just don't understand, like, you might have somewhere between 6 and 10 days to shoot an entire feature film. So if one day goes wrong, that's over 10% of your movie. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So like if you're shooting like a studio movie, you got 30, 90 days. They lose a day. Yeah, it sucks, but it's not like not necessarily kills it. But like on a 6 or 7 day shoot, you lose a day, that can kill you. So like yeah, I had a whole like Monsters in the Woods was originally supposed to be shot. The first act was supposed to be like kind of found footage from the behind the scenes camera crew. And then the second act was more like, you know, jibs and, you know, like sweeping shots. And then it got a little more handheld in the third act. But because of this day thing, you know, the whole second act shooting style had to pretty much be scrapped because we no longer had the time to lay the tracks and do the thing. So the whole second and third act became handheldish, you know. So it was something, and I had to make that work. On Edges of Darkness, it was my second movie, and it was originally going to be an anthology. Just 3 different horror stories set against the backdrop of a zombie apocalypse. So like I was doing the first story, which was about a couple of vampires that were starving because the zombies were eating all the people. And then Blankade was doing this like killer computer story. And then we had a third director that was doing this. I honestly, I don't even remember what her story was supposed to be. And we got about less than 2 weeks from production, and the third director drops out. Wow. So the producer is like, well, can you write another story real quick? And so I directed the first and third stories. And then one day before production, the producer comes to me and he's like, yeah, I just heard that like anthologies aren't selling well right now. Is there any way we can make this meld all together? So like in one day, I like restructuring the things so they can all like meld together. And so it became a totally different thing, you know. That's, you know, so yeah, totally different.
Wow. See,
that's wrong.
Yeah,
that's crazy. But what I like that you're telling this is for the people that are listening and maybe some inspiring content creators in general, just for them to know that you're going to run into some stuff that's going to make you want to be like, all right, do I really want to do this? Especially when it happens multiple times and it's like something like, oh my God, I just lost all of this. Do I really want to do this? And you keep coming back for that?
Yeah.
That's your real test. That is your real test. It's not the views. It's not if people enjoy it. It's when stuff messes up and you really, I mean, it's one thing if you're like, okay, it messed up. I'm going to take a break today. I'm going to take the rest of the week off. I'm not necessarily saying for film because you can't do it for that, but just in general.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to come back to it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, there's some people that get like they're really set in their vision and they want their thing to be flawless. And don't get me wrong, I want my movie to be flawless too.
Mm-hmm.
But there comes a point where, especially if you're doing it for a living, there comes a point where you got to be like, do I want to make this perfect or do I want to make it? Or make it perfect and not finish or make it, you know, and a lot of times it comes down to, I want to make it, you know? And for me, like I personally, like I love filmmaking so much. I love the process of making movies. Like, I am not saying that I don't care if it's good, because I do. I want it to come out good. I want my end result to be like enjoyable, and I want people to like it, and I want it to make money. But at the end of the day, the important thing for me is, what was it like making it? Because that's your life. You know, our life is doing the thing. You know, it's you know, the ends is a very, you know, it's a short window, and it's never what you think it's going to be, even when it's great, you know. So for me, it's like, you really, I just love doing it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, if you enjoy it, if you love it, that's a reason right there to do it. That is a reason right there to do it.
And, you know, people on these things all the time, they ask you, do you have advice for young filmmakers or people trying to get into it? And I'll do that one right now. My advice is, if you don't really, really love it, and not just love movies, you have to love the work. You know, like you have to love, like if you're struggling to write, or if you're struggling to, you know, you want to be a director and you're struggling to learn camera stuff, or you don't want to learn promotion or whatever it is. If any of those things are just like, you know, it to you, like are going to make you going to be unpleasant and, you know, make it an unpleasant experience, don't do it. If there's anything else that you can do and take pleasure in, you know, like, you know, there was a time when I was studying law in college, and, you know, sometimes I do think, I'm like, I should have stuck in law school. You know, I don't get me wrong, I'm totally happy with where I am and everything. but I tell people, if you can do something else, because man, filmmaking is tough, and it's hard, like it's hard to make a living off of it unless you get lucky or you really, really bust your butt. And, you know, and there's some people out there that, like, especially, you know, this, you know, these days, where it's like I don't want to do the work unless I'm being compensated for the work. And I'm not saying that to, like, hey, work for free on movies or nothing like that. But I'm saying, has the filmmaker, has the director, producer, you know, has the creator, if you're not willing to put in, you know, hours that go beyond what you're being paid, don't be a director producer, because that's the gig.
That's a different take, though, as far as, you know, just advice for people that want to get into filmmaking or think they want to get into filmmaking. Because a lot of people, I haven't really heard anyone say until you, unless, you know, because these are the things that come with it, unless you can deal with this and be okay with this, and you might not always enjoy it because there's going to be some tough times, but you have to do this, because it's not just holding the camera, it's not just being on the other side of the camera and all this other. There's a lot that goes into it. Like, if you're not built for that, I'm not saying don't try it, but if you don't feel like you can do this and enjoy it, don't even get yourself into it. And especially with the whole, I mean, because if you want to make a career of it, that's tough. Making the money, that's tough. And I mean, it happens. Just your regular 9-to-5 jobs, you run into issues. You're just like, oh my God, I can't stand this. But this is different, because it's like, this is something I want to get into. I want to create this sort of.
And there's different levels of getting into it. You know, so like I have friends that consider themselves to be, like, you know, like amateur / professionals. Like they have day jobs, you know, they do something totally different, and once or twice a year they, you know, put together a little money and make a movie, you know, and, or, you know, a couple a year or whatever, or one every year, or one every other year, and are very happy doing that. They express themselves, the movies make a little bit of money, supplement their income a little bit, or they don't, but they're happy doing that, you know. So, like, you don't necessarily, like my advice goes to people that want to make your living as a director, producer, you know, that's where that is. Like, because there are different, if you have no interest in completely supporting yourself from it, you know, like, if, you know, you just want to make movies and you have a day job and you can, you know, afford to drop some money into a movie, absolutely go for it. And that's one of the coolest things about today is, you know, like making movies has gotten, like, it's gotten cheap. You know, like if you're, you know, if it's not a big, you know, spectacle thing, you know, you can get the iPhone, and, you know, you could make a thing, you know, and put it on YouTube, and, you know, whatever, you know, or, you know, upload it to Film Hub and actually get it on some real platforms, and people are, you know, and I think that's cool. It's cool, and it, you know, so it's cool that everybody can make a movie. But then it also kind of sucks that everybody can make a movie.
Yeah. I've watched a few of those, so I know what you mean.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, what is good? What was cool about what you were saying a couple minutes ago is, again, it's showing people, like, it's not all just this fun, beautiful bells and whistles. Hey, I got a movie done. Hey, I got a movie out. Hey, everybody wants to watch my movie. It's like, but there's stuff that comes before that. A lot of work that comes before that. And that's with content creation in general, honestly, or with anything in general that you really want to do and be good at and make a living off of. Like, you're not gonna start out up here and just be up here because you're a cool person. No, you're gonna start from way down below to where people don't even know you exist, and you kind of just slowly work your way up, and then as you're saying with the promotion stuff, that's how I found your stuff, is because you promote it and you
Yeah.
talk about it. I'm like, oh shoot, another horror movie coming out, indie horror movie. Let me reach out and see if you come on for an interview.
Totally. And for most of us, for most working, like, for making their living producer directors,
Mhm.
we weren't doing it after our first movie. Like, there's examples of people that did the first one and it was great, but most of us, like, it takes a few.
Yeah.
Like, I think I was on, like, probably movie 6 before I had fully transitioned out of any day work or anything. Like, I was being hired by a company to direct a bunch of movies around 2012, and that right around there was where, like, I haven't had a day job since. And then after 2017, I never worked even as a freelancer anymore. It's like just off the movies now, but that's a cumulative thing.
Yeah.
Like, there's no one movie I've made that pays my bills every year.
Right.
It's a collection of these, like, 70 features that I've produced that I'm able to make a living off of.
But again, it's something that you say you enjoy doing. You obviously have a passion for it, and that's important. That's
Yeah.
important because, again, like, just the outside looking in of that kind of stuff, especially in a younger mind, they'll see the reality stuff, or they'll see their favorite actor, actress, just even at a younger age, they'll see their younger age actor. Oh my god, I'm a huge fan. Blah blah blah. I want to do that, and they think it's just okay. Let me go to Hollywood, knock on the door. Hey, I want to be in this. It's like, no, there's so much more work to do to get to that point. Which
Yeah. And the thing about it is that at any point in that journey, you can get lucky. You can hit the lottery at any of those steps. But like me, I've never hit the lottery. But I am like so everything's pragmatic for me at this point. It's like I'm making this thing, and if it's received really well and my next thing's like $10 million, that's great. But if I never get to that point, that's cool too. Like, there was a time in my career where all I was doing was building towards, I want to do big movies.
yeah,
But I got to a point where I was like, what, I really am enjoying this. This is great. I'm not saying I wouldn't take a big movie, but it stopped being the goal. And I've found that I've been much happier in life since I stopped looking for this external goal.
yeah. Which, I mean, it makes plenty of sense too. Because again, you said you love what you do, and then of course, if you got that big break or win the lottery, like you said, that's like the icing on the cake.
Yeah,
Icing
exactly.
on the cake or whatever. But it's like I'm already loving what I do. Which having a career of doing what you love, that's amazing in itself. That's a win right there in itself. To where you could make a living off of doing what you love. You don't have to be rich and famous, but you're making an honest living.
Yep.
A comfortable-ish living or whatever, however it is. That's beautiful right there. So definitely hats off to you for that, because that's amazing. And it's that right there is cool as hell. And again, people don't even know that. Really, it's like, okay, yeah, this guy's a director, and that's what he does as his career. Like, he does these movies, and is he in? What I mean? People are like, oh, is he in Hollywood?
Yeah.
To be rich and famous. And I'm like, no, he's not rich and famous. He's happy.
Yeah, dude. And like, I was milling off Blu-rays for Craving a few months ago for the Indiegogo, and the clerk was asking me about it, and I'm telling her, and she's like, oh yeah, what else have you done? And I'm telling her all these movies, and of course she'd never heard of any of them. Like if you walk into a supermarket and start, like, nobody is going to have heard of a lot of these movies.
Mhm.
Even diehard horror fans haven't heard of a lot of these movies. But there's there's a market for this stuff, and like, when I discovered the documentary stuff like that, that blew my mind. Because I can make a couple of those a month. And there's an audience for it. Like, I used to be like, nobody would want to watch something of a certain budget level or lower. But what I found, especially in documentaries, is if you are giving the information that people want, like, the production quality almost doesn't matter at all. It's like, as long as they can hear it, it's in focus, like, they're cool. You know, movies are a little less forgiving, but like in documentaries, like you can really, and as a technical filmmaker, like I'm honest, like I'm kind of like a blues musician filmmaker. I'm a little sloppy. I like, you know, like in Craving, you'll see a lot of moments where, you know, like the camera is finding its focus. You know, like it'll start soft on somebody and then come in. And some people say like, oh, well, that's a mistake. But like I like that kind of live, you know, like finding the thing, you know. And I take that into my editing. Like I don't necessarily edit, you know, like right on the, you know, right on the beat, right, or staccato. Like it's a little loose, you know. Like that's I'm a sloppy filmmaker. It's the kind of filmmaking I respond to. Like I like it, you know. So like that's how I make it.
And listen, you're making a living doing it, so nobody can really say anything to you about that. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, I'm making a living off this, and I like it. I'm enjoying it, and that's something that I feel is super important as well. It's like I enjoy this. I not only do I enjoy creating this, but the way I create it, and I enjoy what I put out.
Well, and the a big thing for me too is like I am my own boss, like 100%. Like I don't even take, well, on bigger movies, like I'm doing A Hard Place right now, and we have investors, you know,
Mhm.
besides the Indiegogo, but I typically don't even take investors. Like so, like I have absolutely no one telling me anything, you know, like creatively, like nothing. Like the buck stops with me. And you know, that sounds a little control freakish, but it's a really nice feeling, because like early in my career I was being, you know, hired to direct. So I was always like, you know, I didn't have say in casting sometimes, you know, or I'd be really adamant against some of the casting, but you know, I had to do it. Or you know,
Yeah.
you know, hey, wait, we have to do this story this way, or we have to shoot this scene there, and I just have to be like, okay, and do it the best I can, you know. But now I do exactly what I want to do.
See, and again, that freedom right there, that's awesome right there alone. Like you said, you don't take on investors and all that, because we all know what happens with the Hollywood, where, you know, they get these good producers, directors, writers, and all this other stuff, and then, okay, this is good, this is great, but let's sprinkle some Hollywood on it and make it like everything else.
Right? Yeah.
So that right there is awesome. That right there is awesome. I like that. I like that, because it's just you get to express yourself. You get to be you without people saying, "Oh no, I don't like that. I don't want that." Okay,
Yeah. Well,
leave. This is my movie.
and I get to try different things. So
Mhm.
like another thing that I like about my body of work is like even, you know, we won't even forget about documentaries for a second, just in narratives. You know, my first two movies were horror movies, then I did a thriller, then I did another horror movie, then I did a romantic comedy, then I did like a talking dog movie, and then we did this like erotic thriller thing.
Ooh,
You know, and I just like
erotic.
I've done church movies, like you know, like Christian movies. I've
Interesting.
yeah, and I'm, you know, I'm not a religious man, but I've done the movies. You know, and then in documentaries, you know, I've been all over. I've done documentaries about Bigfoot. I've done documentaries about cannabis. I've done documentaries about dog rescues. You know, I did one on anxiety. We're doing a diet documentary right now, and you know, it's just like I like, as a viewer, I like many different things. I have really broad tastes. Horror
Mhm.
might be at the top of that, but I like other things too, and I like being able to make those things. You know,
Yeah.
and if I get a bug up my butt to go do a musical, I could go try a musical. You know, I'm not, but if I wanted to, I could.
Oh wow, you're just all over the place. I like that though, and I like how you said, you know, horror's up top. Same with me, but you like all different kinds of things. So it's like, why not? I'm a film creator, and I can do these documentaries. Why not do it in other avenues that I'm having interest in?
Yeah.
Yes, horror may still be the baby, the bread and butter, whatever you want to call it, the top thing, but I enjoy everything else that I have lined up under it, and I might as well do everything else.
Mhm.
That, oh, here we go. Question for you, Bigfoot Doc. What's the Bigfoot Doc? Is it on
Oh,
your YouTube channel?
yeah. So I've done a few. The biggest one is probably "Don't Call Me Bigfoot." There's a part one and part two. Part two just came out. Um, my favorite though is a documentary called "The Town That Loved Bigfoot." I produced and edited that one. Brandon Mahan directed it, but it's really cute. It's a good documentary. And then we just released one called Dogman Tales about 6 months ago, and that's done really well.
Let's see, I'm gonna have to check those out. Go check out his YouTube channel, people. By the way,
yeah. If you go to my YouTube channel and go down to documentaries, like they're pretty much all there.
Nice. What do you have coming up? I know you said you have a movie.
Yeah, so we just finished a crowdfunder. Oh gosh, guys, about 6 months ago now. We raised $100,000 for a hard place, and then we've raised some money outside of that. We were actually supposed to be shooting in November, but we've had some delays because of the strike. So we're looking at like now maybe March next year shooting it. But I'm somebody, I usually make movies really fast. Like, you know, if I say I'm going to do something, like it's usually done within 6 months. And this one and Craving both were like year-long processes, but they're bigger. And then A Hard Place is a much bigger scaled movie than I've done before in horror.
Nice.
You know, it features like 2 different like species of monsters, so completely different designs, and there's several of them, and it's especially for the budget level, it's really big. It's the biggest thing I've done. So I'm nervous and excited about it.
No, I'm happy about this. I'm happy for
Hell
you.
yeah.
That sounds exciting.
Yeah, and Bravo's doing the monster stuff. Oh, actually, you know what? There's 3 different types of monsters because there's a movie within a movie. Like that's a zombie thing. And we're doing these like new kinds of zombies for it that are pretty cool.
Oh man, I can't wait. I'm not ending it right this minute. Within the next few minutes, but definitely gonna have to have you on again. And like once before, if you can, maybe before you go into filming, if you're not too busy.
Yeah, sure.
Just around to kind of hopefully help get some promotion around the film and be able to talk to you more.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Kind of stuff, and just, you know, give others more insight on this for those that do want to be a filmmaker and creator and all that. Like, here's another awesome person we had on that gave you some great gems. And I feel like a very important thing he said is, if you don't want to do all this, maybe you should look at something else. I mean, I'm not saying you should look at something else outside of film with the whole director thing and all that stuff you have to do as a director.
Yeah.
All right, maybe you want to be an actor, maybe you want to be an actress, an extra. I don't know everything on the film set. I haven't been on one yet, people, but I do plan to be on one of these days. Just from like the conversations I've had with other friends, like Mick, if you're still here, he was on set for something last night as an extra.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, it'd be cool to be not only to be an extra, to be in a film, but just to kind of learn the behind the camera stuff. Just to learn that, being on set and learn that, hey, you need me to get you a cup of water, coffee? I got you. Now, you're telling me I need to hold the camera like this for what again? Just because it's a cool thing to know and learn. And in case you want to do, like, I wouldn't mind doing some sort of maybe a short film or some sort of content. Me and him have been talking about it, but I also like to just, and that's why I'm loving these conversations we've been having over this past couple months now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, how can I do this? How do you do that? Like, I love, you know what I mean? Like how it was made. How was this movie made? I would love to be on the set. Even if I'm just there, just observing, it would be cool. And then to get to see the actual film, like, oh my gosh, they did that with that. How did they make this work? I was sitting there the whole time watching everything, and now it looks like this.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I don't think I've put it up yet on the channel because it's still like exclusive content for the Indiegogo folks. But at some point, I'm gonna put up the 9-hour behind the scenes thing. So we had a behind the scenes guy for the entire shoot of Craving. Most behind the scenes stuff I've ever had in a movie. So like I took like 9 hours of his just like raw behind the scenes footage with no commentary, no editing, just like spliced it all out on a timeline and exported it. It was like 9 hours long.
Holy crap.
Yeah, I'm gonna put that on there.
Oh, that's awesome. That type of stuff is really, really, really cool. But then to be able to be the lucky person that's just there in person seeing all this go down, like, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I miss special features from physical media.
Yeah,
I know. Well, and it's like, because everything's now, so much of it is promotional. So like they do the behind this, like the material's still there. It's
Mhm.
just like in small increments. It's usually not all together somewhere. It's like on the YouTube channel or on their
Mhm.
Instagram or whatever. Like you can still find behind the scenes stuff, but not in the same way. It's not like concentrated. You know what I miss most about, because I stopped collecting physical a couple of years ago, and like I really like, I miss director commentaries.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I used to love those. Like I was, some of those I was more excited about than the movies. You know, especially like, you know, between like '96 and like 2010, I was super into those. Like I would, almost everything I would buy it, unless if it didn't have a commentary, I didn't want it.
Uh,
I like that. It's funny you mentioned that because a couple months ago. Actually, yeah, that was what month are we in? We're in September, so yeah, I guess we
September
could say a
now.
couple months ago now. That was that in August? No, July when we had the one dude on, or was that August for the indie interview? Of the one of the Friday 13th fan films.
We had a
The
bunch
first
more.
one. Remember? Anyway, he did a commentary for his film. For
Oh
his,
yeah.
he
Oh
did the
yeah, yeah,
director
yeah,
film.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I did them for Craving. I had a couple of different ones. I did one for the Indiegogo people. For even for the digital downloads, I would just do two versions, one with commentary and one without. You know, and then for the Blu-ray, there's one on there. I think there might be two on there. I'm trying to remember because I did one, and the special effects guy did one. But yeah,
See now that makes I'm gonna have to get my hands on that because I'd like to see that hear the commentary with certain because it's cool to hear like why scenes were done the way they were,
yeah,
and as you're watching the movie because it's easier for you to obviously to do it versus us having this conversation. It's like, oh well, let me think about it. Back in this time, back in this mindset, let me think of this exact scene, and it's like, hey, the
right.
commentary is right there. So yeah, I gotta check. I'm gonna check that out. I want to check that out.
It's gonna make me go watch the Christopher Nolan, Heath Ledger, Dark Knight commentary again.
Yeah, that's a good one. Have you ever heard Guillermo del Toro's? Actually, any of his commentaries are great, but his mimic commentary is incredible.
No.
He does a director's cut of Mimic. Sorry,
Mimic.
Mimic, Memento, and it's so cool. It's like when you hear somebody like him talk, you're just like they are working on such a different like creative level than like most
Yeah,
human people. Like it's just like I hear him talk and I'm just like, it's fucking amazing. Yeah.
that's awesome, man. That's awesome. I guess we can get into kind of wrapping this up. I do want to thank you for coming on. Greatly appreciate you coming on. Had a great time with you. Definitely gonna have you on again if you want to come on, of course.
Yeah, sure, great.
And I guess just let the people know where they can find you. Let them know what you have coming up. And I will say, people, again, his YouTube, I did post it in the comments, and all his links are in the description as well. And Craving, the Tubi link is also in the comments, and they're both pinned to the top. Make sure you go check both of those out. Check out the Craving movie, and yeah, buy a Blu-ray if you still can. I'm gonna try to
Yeah,
get one
yeah,
too.
Blu-rays are coming out, I think October 3rd, I think. And then you can pretty much find me everywhere at the J Horton, the J Horton,
There you go.
Instagram, TikTok, whatever.
There you go. Oh, you're on. Oh, you gotta find you on TikTok. What? Okay,
Yeah.
I gotta ask. What before we wrap this up? Do you do anything as far as your films for the TikTok? Do you have any
Yeah,
things in
yeah.
there?
So TikTok is like, it's, I'm an older dude. It's my weakest social media platform, but I am trying to embrace it more. Right now, most everything I put up there is like, short snippets or
Mhm.
things from my movies or my YouTube videos and stuff like that. I very rarely do something like made specifically for it, but which is probably why I'm not doing so hot on it. I should probably do that more.
I
But
mean,
yeah, it's just not my thing. Like I'm
understand.
older. I'm a little more comfortable with Facebook. So like that's where I do most of my content.
Understandable. But I
Yeah.
mean, a quick on. Hey, I'm on set of the movie. Blah 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 blah. Guys, when this comes
Yeah.
out, it's gonna
No.
be great.
Yeah.
Pass it to your
Well,
cast. Hey, I'm with the
yeah.
star of the film. Blah blah blah. I get it.
Unfortunately, as a filmmaker, that's so little of our year.
Yep.
Between, so I don't. like I used to shoot like, you know, a movie a month back in the day.
Oh, wow.
But, you know, now if I'm doing narrative stuff, I do one a year tops. So, you know, I'm on set for, you know, 2-3 weeks out of a year. And like, that's it. Everything else is like me setting in my office, you know, with my monitors, and, you know, so it's like, I don't know.
But honestly, even stuff like that, like with the editing process and with all that, people are really interested in that aspect as well.
Yeah.
Either short form content or long form content. I know it could be a pain, like, oh damn, I got to turn the camera on, hit record just because I'm doing this. But yeah, man, I like your work. I like your work. Craving was a fun film. I'm definitely gonna have to watch it again, and now I definitely got to see with the commentary on there.
Oh, cool.
And people, go check him out. He has some dope stuff out there. He has some dope stuff out there. And again, thank you for coming on. I greatly appreciate it. Everyone in the comments, thank you guys for in here. Make sure you go check out his stuff and follow him. I know you guys are already following Worst Damn Gamer. You guys should be following Surf Sturdy because you're here. Have a great night. I'll see you in your nightmares, people. Peace.
Peace.